And we are live. Welcome, everyone.
We are.
I am Dr. Gabriella Kőrösi,
And I'm Dr. Gary Wohlman.
and we are here to have another amazing conversation. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for joining us. And Garima, hi. And it sounds like where Dr. Gary is, that there's been a lot of rain and kind of
It is
stormy over
pouring
there.
rain. We have a huge cyclone and storm, not a cyclone, a storm that is one of the more major storm fronts in 10 years in this area. So it's
Wow.
been raining for weeks, and today supposedly is the last day. It is cats, dogs, and kangaroos raining nonstop right now.
Wow. I'm glad you still have internet
I was
with all
very
that.
happy too, because I was concerned because of the cloud cover and because we're on Starlink with the Starlink flags. Often when there's no sun, there's no reception. So
Mm.
let's go as far and long and deep as we are able. And who knows? With my rainbow hand warmers here, I'm
I
putting
love
in
them.
the vision for hope, matching with my little suit. I pulled this out of the closet today when I was looking for a different hand warmers that I left at a friend's house the other day, kind of a beautiful, like a earthy blue. And then, oh my God, this
Mhm.
suits me even better. This is exactly what I want to bring forth, that energy of hope, hope,
Mhm.
rainbow, hope.
I love it.
There's a
We had
beautiful,
quite a bit of
right,
rain too the last
have you?
few days, and now the sun is out, and it's just so nice to be able to go out and garden and do, other things outside.
Yes, I've been enjoying your posts on nature. Now I realize you do that quite a bit, and it gives us a chance to dive into our deepest nature. I remember a particular two-line song about bringing out hope, bringing about colors, bringing out a sense of fresh possibility, no matter what is going on the outside. And it's a Navajo song or
Oh,
poem,
okay.
prayer, and it's simply one sentence long. It goes like this: You. You whose day it is, make it beautiful. Take
Oh.
out your rainbow colors and make it beautiful. Really, that is the
Mm.
emergency we have to emerge at any time from the dark to the light. The lotus flower glows in the mud. The oyster creates through irritation a pearl. A diamond is formed from immense pressure in the coal in the dark. And a seed deep in the dark comes into the light from the dark. So it's not something to be afraid of, the rain, the dark, the clouds. It's something in this life of duality that we move through until we reach the higher realms, which is above yes and no, right or wrong, good or bad, left or right, up and down, male and female, and includes all these possibilities.
I love it. When you were talking about that, I was just thinking of my compost, because you have to throw everything in there. They have to rot and decompose, and then they become amazing and fertile for all the fruits and vegetables and everything that I have around. So yeah, not be afraid of things that are seemingly the opposite, because then other things can sprout from them.
Well, it's interesting what you just said, because what I literally heard you say, and you may have said something different, was in the compost it has to rot so it then can be composed. The correct word is composted, but I like the word composed because when we often what is composed is
Mhm,
something that is created by honoring chaos, by honoring moving
mhm,
through the skid, by honoring the dark, the light, the shadows, the in between. And so, excuse my composure, yet the composition of compacting and combining and co-creating this feeling of infinite possibility, I feel, comes through not being afraid of the chaos. I've had no problem entertaining. I use that word with total consciousness, entertaining chaos my whole life. I remember when I was very young, one of my first pictures that with a Polaroid camera, my family had with me was a picture of me in my room, in my bedroom, and I took together all my toys. I took my erector set. I took my Cowboys and Indians. I took my Cape Canaveral. I took my car set. I put it all together. I had planes hanging from the ceiling, all of this together. And it was a combination of things. This is the story of my life that never would actually go together, but I put it all together: the past, the present, the future, the supersonic planes hanging from the ceiling, the car servo station on the ground, the Cowboys and Indians. Why not put them all together? Because sooner or later we are part of the big, here we go again, compost heap. And in that combination, in that integration, in that conflagration, in the chaos of connectivity, that's where magic is born. Often not from just a great or brilliant idea. I recall at one point reading about creativity. I'm highly creative. And I remember reading this, that creativity, breathing, is often what happens in between activity and rest. It's not when you're just deciding to do a project. I'm going to now write my book,
Yeah.
or I'm going to go take time out. It's in between the cycles of activation and receptivity that these wonderful insights percolate to
Yeah,
the
the idea
surface.
is just all of a sudden coming the, waking up early morning for me usually, or when I walk out in nature and totally my mind is just, enjoying the moment, and all of a sudden, oh, that's a great idea. James, do you know James? James said he was trying to call you. He's in the chat.
James, you
James
sure?
Desmond, do you know him?
I can't find the chat. How do I find the chat? It's not operating for me.
Oh, it should be just
Oh, now I see it.
okay.
James Desmond. I don't know who James Desmond is.
Okay. Well, he was saying he was calling you. I
James,
don't know if
announce
he was
yourself, and if you can send me a message elsewhere so I know who you are. If you're calling me, that's great. But I'm not going to be um, picking up the phone while I'm having this
obviously
interview.
we are on
So
live.
no,
Yeah.
James, you can join us, but I'm not going to be leaving this interview to join you. So let me know what you're calling about and who you are, because I actually don't recall someone named James Desmond. I know some other people that are connecting. Hello, Raja. Hello, Garima. You were here last time as well. Paul
Yeah.
K. Would that be Paul Karasik? I know a man named Paul from years ago, 20, 30 years ago. People from my past are joining us here. So whoever you are, please feel free to join us in the chat. And if you want to come in to have a few minutes with us to engage with us on this theme of turning out of the darkest, most composty, chaotic moments, the creativity that is, as I often say when I'm doing transformational body therapy with people, feel the energy that's bound in your physical body, the physical body, the emotional energy that's stored, stuck, stubborn with self-talk and things you're telling yourself that keep certain positions and identities stuck. And then the creative energy does not come out until that was bound, physical, emotional, creative, is bound to release. Do you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. I was just thinking when you were talking about that is how, the darkest moments, and I did write a book called Darkness and Light that I was kind of writing through COVID. The stories that I was writing through that. And There's so many bad things that happen. People died, and we had a pandemic, and we didn't know what was happening. But then from that, there's also new things that grew out of people supported each other better. They connected online when they couldn't meet in person, and just new projects and things like that emerged. And I felt like people were more appreciative of actually be able to see and meet each other later, and when they can hug each other again, and you know do that, because you couldn't before during the
Yeah,
pandemic.
it's interesting what you're saying. I'd love to piggyback on that because you're such a prolific writer and dive deeper into nature, your own nature through poetry and photography and your own inner witnessing. I wanted to say that over the last 6 years now, that since we've been coveting and whatever
Hmm.
coveting our coveting and the wonderful miracles that are occurring astrologically right now, with Pluto being in Aquarius and so many energies coming from the being forced. One door closes, another door
Hmm.
opens, being forced to innovate, being some of the greatest inventions. I've been reading this, studying this, and hearing about this over the last 6 years have occurred at times that have been the most oppressive in our world. The times that have been the most contracting is when some of the innovation. So, for example, right now, what's about to happen with the nitrogen and fuel sources and diesel and petrol fuel phasing out. We're reaching a
Hmm.
place where we're not going to have access to that. However, great discoveries are happening with gas, with other forms of energy out of one door slams shut, a cathedral door
Hmm.
or window opens. It's the nature of this life, a tremendously innovative time as things are closing down. New rainbow worlds, excuse my expression, are opening up. Take heart.
Hmm. I love that. And it truly is in life, like it's almost like one thing ending but another beginning, and it's continuously kind of going up and down like that, right? Because we are constantly changing.
It seems to be going up and down, yet when we look at it from a point of view that there is no time, there is no
Hmm.
space, and what we're looking at as perhaps we are in some form of a what do they call it, a program that we're part of. Perhaps past, present, and future doesn't exist, yet something in our consciousness which likes order, likes structure, feels a certain comfort in
Hmm.
knowing that something's going to, the sun's going to rise the next day, tomorrow's going to come tomorrow. Tomorrow actually
Yeah.
never comes. That's the
Hmm.
interesting thing about it. Tomorrow never comes, it's always arriving. So the secret is to embrace this moment of now,
Yes.
while the past, present, and future are constantly evolving. You who are watching, listening, experiencing Dr. Gabriella and myself in our weekly chats may be visiting us from the future or the present, and may I even dare to say, and even from the past. Why not? Let's be fluid about this, flexible
Hmm.
about what we're creating, co creating here. How
Yes.
powerful is that? Fresh
Magical.
stories, new glories, we dance and sing. Yes, we are remembering. Yes, we are awakening.
I was just thinking about this morning. I had a little nature walk with my counterpart, the other Gabriella from Hungary. And she was walking in her forest, and I was walking in the forest here. And I tried to go down deeper into the forest, but then the internet connection kind of phased out. So I had to come back. And that was also kind of like this fluid movement and going. into the forest, but then having to come back. And when anytime I'm in the forest or surrounded by nature, times seem to go differently. I don't know if you have noticed that, like when you're at your
Tell
waterfall
us
or just
more.
out in nature.
Tell
Well,
us
it's
more.
just time goes so by, you're just in the moment, and all of a sudden there could be hours go by, or sometimes it feels like hours go by, but it was just a few minutes because you're just like so in depth with nature. Like the time just works differently, for me at least.
Tapping into the eternal moment of now. One of my dear friends has an expression. I love this expression. He's quite the trance inducer, and he's able to create hypnotic states and states of expanded awareness by his storytelling abilities. And one of the
Mm.
things he says in just a couple of sentences are, this moment, all the time in the world, which is a breaking free of what we can imagine is possible if this moment is not just limited to this fixed moment and connects to, like, the halls of Amenti, for example,
Mhm.
AMENTI, is known in our bodies as that place here. Put your hand back here. There's a bit of a hollow at the back
Yeah.
of the brainstem. The medulla
Mhm.
oblongata meets there. And this is often called, that little seat, that little recess, the halls of Amenti. Whereas that is activated, that point helps us connect with all past, present, and future knowledge about everything. We have the ability, the studies have shown with people who have been researched and through different diagnostic tools, that we all have within our cellular memory the knowledge of everything that ever
Yeah.
happened in all consciousness and all creation in humanity. It's beautiful. One of my favorite stories, I'm going to give you a short story version of one of my favorite stories, is a story of a North American Indian tribe and a boy that was supposed to be groomed to become a great bird catcher. And he goes off, and it's a hot day, and it's suddenly he gets very sleepy, and the rock that he's sleeping on says, "Give me your birds and I'll tell you a story." And the boy didn't have any birds. He was just too much enjoying nature and his own nature to collect these birds for his mommy and the tribe. Goes back to his mommy. "Son, where are the birds?" And no birds. So she loved him and she praised him because that was the way of the people. So this repeats a number of times until she starts to get suspicious, and she finally sends him out with one of his friends, and they go
Mhm.
out to the rock. And the rock, each time they go out to the rock then says to the boy, and this time with his friend, "Give me your birds and I'll tell you a story." No birds. "Now I'm going to tell you the story of your people and your people's people and the way of your people and the way of the lands and the way of time and space itself and the beginning of creation." It goes on and on and on. But finally, the mom, this is a very short version of the story, says, "I'm going to bring all the top hunters of the tribe and the warriors, and they're going to go follow my son and his friend into the woods and see what's going on. Why is he not catching any birds?" So the boys go out, hot day, hotter than ever, and they hit this big shaking. The whole ground is shaking, and the rock says, "Give me your birds and I'll
Birds.
tell you a story." No birds. The rock says this. "All right. Okay, look, I've already told you the story of how your people came to be and the lands it came to be and how creation came to be and how even the creation of creation came to be. I don't have any more stories. However, all of you," because the rock knew what was around him, the nature was not lost, "all of you who are watching and listening to me, you will be the storytellers for all creation.
Oh,
You who are listening, and you have much to say." A beautiful story. It's called The Story of
I love it.
Storytelling.
Yeah, that's amazing. Imagination is fantastic, right? You can come up with all kinds of things to share through stories. I love storytelling because it's just such a simple way to learn and a fun way to learn, you know? I wish we would do more of that in schools and things like that with kids.
Well, that's what we're setting in motion. In fact, over the years, parables, Jesus, some of the greatest illuminaries, when we remember a speaker, a presenter, a performer, an artist's evocation through the spoken word, we don't often
Mhm.
remember the verbal words. We sometimes remember the intonation, the vocal variation of the way the voice travels up for enthusiasm, down, and in more regular pacing with pausing. And then the visual gestures we often remember even more. And when the visual gestures make pictures of what we're saying, and the visual gestures show, like in a story, what we're saying that matches the sound, that matches the words, there's another layer of remembrance that happens. Indeed, what we remember the most is often the story that's behind the message, the point,
Mhm.
the example, and the application. I call that triangular shape the P formula: point, example, application. For any point that we're making, any lesson, any moral, any wisdom that's gained or gleaned often comes after an example that is the story, and then the A, how that applies to the audience: P, point, E, example, story, and A, application. So there are ways for us to ignite this storytelling gift through some of these tools. I don't just share the story, I share what the lesson is from the story
Mhm.
and also how that applies to the audience. So that cycle of communication, I call it the P formula, PEA, has even more compelling telling than just the information itself. Combining these different elements makes it even more connected to this moment all the time in the world.
I love it. Um, when you were mentioning the storytelling and, sharing, what we learned from it, all of a sudden this story popped into my head. I don't it's about it's, I believe, a Native American story as to when you feed the wolf and, kind of the wisdom of as the story is that whichever wolf you feed is going to succeed. If you feed anger, it's gonna be the anger. If you feed, kindness or love, or I don't remember exactly which one it was.
I do.
I
I
think it
do
might have.
remember the story. I remember. I
Yeah.
know the story because I've often told it many times. And what you're saying is so accurate and so true and so revealing. Gabriella, the point of the story is what you're sharing now. That the message is what you feed is what is grown. What you give attention
Yeah.
to grows. And the actual story, the short version of it, is that there's a supposedly a North American Indian elder grandfather of a
Yes.
tribe that's talking to his grandson. I have a war going on inside me. Oh, grandpa, that's so hard to hear. Who's winning the war? And so the grandpa, thinks a while, that he comes up with this. He said, well, the war is this. I've got two wolves. I got one wolf that wants to be making puppy piles and love and make little, cozy little connections with all the different creatures. And there's another wolf that wants to eat ravenously and destroy everything. Grandpa, who's winning the war? Oh, son, grandson. It's very simple. Just what you said, Gabi. It all depends on which mouth you feed. Yeah, that's the example, that's the story. You gave the
Mhm.
point of the story, and then the application, PEA, for you who are listening is: how are you able to transform your chaos, your darkness, your confusion, your despair into light? It isn't just you turn the light on, although
Yeah.
sometimes it is. Sometimes it's choosing to go down another street. A, a beautiful little story called The Autobiography in 5 Chapters that you may have heard of goes something like this. I'm walking down the street. I fall in a hole. It takes me forever to climb out.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. I'm walking down the same street. I see the hole. I keep thinking about it. So, whoop, I'm back in the hole. I know how to get out. Chapter 3, same thing goes on and on and on. And finally, the last chapter, I walk down another street. It's a choice. It's a choice. And it's not always easy. I know when I'm in the middle of despair, like, for example, this is an interesting revelation. A couple of nights ago, I went to a party down at the co-founders' house of our permaculture community. It was a party to honor some of the people who had left the community that were there for dinner. And I knew it might get a little cool or cold, so I brought my favorite hand warmers, which are that kind of earthy blue that I told you about, and I left them down there. And I wanted to go get them, but it's been raining. I thought I should wear them this morning because it's nice and comfortable. And I just go looking in the corner of my closet here, and these are sitting quietly on the wall. Going, oh my God, this goes so much better with what I'm wearing. And sometimes we have to go into the darkness to find the light.
Yes, absolutely. But it's a journey also to look for it. So I think, especially in today's society right now, there's so much of the bad news, keep feeding the bad news because that brings attention, all the horrors that happening in the world, that we forget to look for the good.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that. I'm going to say something without getting political because I'm very aware of what I'm not saying and what you're thinking right now.
Yes.
So I'm going to be saying something in a generic way. So all of you who are able to hear me can see this. So I often listen to innovative videos and audios, and it fuels me, being a creative soul myself. And the other day, I was listening to one of these luminaries who often has a lot to say about the world situation. So without pointing any fingers, I'm going to say something very sweet and polite and user-friendly so everybody can hear this. And that is this. The person said, when you're going to have to fill in the blanks, you who are listening, we're going to have to thank, fill in the blanks, a world leader, a particular world leader that I'm not mentioning, for forcing us all to no longer have the availability of tapping into fossil fuels. And the gift is that instead of closing that off, that actually we're, what I said at the beginning of this conversation, opening up a whole new era, a whole new innovative time for all of us to discover fuels through gas, through plants, through different things. We're forced into a whole new era. So we should actually be thankful to this human and whoever else is connected to it for one door closing, because it's opening up a world that we never could if we kept doing the same old. Time for something new. It doesn't often happen by a good idea. Maybe in advertising companies it does. I was a copywriter for advertising for a while, and you come up with a unique selling point that matches. There's nothing like this particular product and service. However, when we don't have that uniqueness, or we don't recognize the uniqueness, it's important. Like when we do YouTubing and we're naming something, or we're finding a name that's provocative, that doesn't just is something interesting. We want the name that actually is so close to the felt sense of a thing that ignites a feeling of all of us tapping into our deepest wisdom, innovation, individuation, awakening, remembrance, and doing things in a way we never could before. That in this world of form that we're in, at least at this time where we're in our human bodies, often we are forced by a experience of pain or breakdown as part of the breakthrough. It's part of the breakthrough. When we go through a skid, how do you go through a skid? You don't avoid the skid. You don't try to correct the skid, fix the skid. You go through the skid. And there's the magic. By going through the skid, you come out the other side unscathed. So it is a wisdom to breathing into, feeling into the darkness, what's not working. And out of that, I didn't know I was going to find my rainbow gloves today. I forgot all about them. I was using the other ones for a year or
Yeah.
two, and I thought that's all I had. But it's often when something slams shut that, something new emerges. Hey,
Your friend just
Samuel.
your
Good to
friend
see
just
you,
joined in the
Sam.
chat. I was just gonna say.
Come join us if you like. You want to come on board for a few minutes? You're welcome. Otherwise, sit in the audience and give comments in the chat. Samuel, for all of you here, is someone I known for 40 years from Hawaii years ago. We haven't connected for most of the last 40 years, and we're both have so much in common, and he's sharing so much in these sessions. He has his own Substack channel and very powerful talk about luminaries information that all of us can benefit from. Sam, you're quite a wise soul, and I love connecting with you. Hello, Jack and Samuel. Yes, that's right. Hello, all of us. Yeah, there's a beautiful song that I heard. Actually, Sam, it was when you and I first met. It was in San Diego around 1982 to 1984 when I lived there 40 something years ago. And there's a beautiful singer named David Pomerantz back then. You might even have known him. He may have come to some of my Hechicero Enchanters Gatherings Vision Quest events. And hey, Sam. And so this particular
Oh,
song, it's one of my favorite songs, goes like this. I'll sing it and then we'll give you a few minutes to share with us as well. You might remember this song. It goes like this. It's in every one of us to be wise. Open your heart and open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us. I just remembered. It's as if I've been sleeping for years. There's all kinds of lights and a cast of thousands. And I'm making up the words because I remember them as I'm sleeping and wake through the tears. And then it repeats. It's in every one of us. Yes, it's in every one of us to be wise. Open your heart, open both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. Why not? It's in every one of us. By and by. And hi
beautiful.
to you, Sam, wherever you are. Is it cold where you are? You look like you're keeping
No,
warm.
no, I just got out of the shower. I'm in a Turkish bathrobe that's navy blue.
Lovely. Great to have
I
you
wanted
join
to be
us.
I wanted to be relaxed and comfortable.
You look
Steam fed.
cozy.
Perfect.
You do. You do. And what in a few minutes can you share with us today from what you've been hearing, what you've been experiencing in this chat that can enhance the listening for all of us who are listening here?
Well, I think after our last session a couple weeks ago, someone who was on my Facebook, I don't quite understand, or maybe they had subscribed to the Substack, they, in an unsolicited fashion, this is a woman that lives in Sturgis. Um, she said that she took a big spiritual hit hearing our last conversation here last time I
Okay.
was with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said that she was, and it's interesting, she has been through a turbulent divorce the last couple of years. Her husband, um, former husband, who she's still friendly with, but he makes a lot of money in the oil and gas business. He's a regional supervisor, and that business pays very well. I'm, 300,000 a year to be a supervisor. like a high-end blue-collar supervisor. It's really good money. In any event, she said that she had been pursuing spiritual insights, and she was asking me for my advice post our discussion here.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, the best advice I can give you is that developing a up-leveled spirituality, which of course is what you guys are all about, it's not additive, ADDITIVE. It's not something you bolt on like running boards for your pickup truck. It
Mm-hmm.
is subtractive. It's like peeling away the layers of an onion. And of course, this goes back to Hechicero many, 40 years ago, plus 40 plus years ago. True spirituality, getting to the core of who you are, is not additive. It's not about going and finding something and
Yeah.
slapping it onto who you are. It's about the stripping away. It's about the peeling away.
Becoming. Yeah.
Correct.
I'd like
It's
to
about the
piggyback.
becoming, what's at the core. And when you strip,
Yeah.
because all of us, all three of us, and everyone who's listening or will be listening,
Yes.
we're all damaged goods in life.
Yes. Yes.
Let
Indeed.
me
Indeed.
repeat that. We are all damaged goods. Now, that's not a permanent condition, but it does mean there are things in the layers of the onion that are preventing you from being fully aware or fully conscious or fully developed, as as you and Gary are talking about, this higher self and reaching for the higher self and having the joy of the higher self, being in the community with the higher self, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's about giving oneself permission. And the problem is, for some, most of us, there are layers of interference that we've accumulated because of the hurts.
Yeah. I
Some
want to add to
conscious.
what you're saying there, Sam, because what you're saying is such great wisdom, as
Yeah.
you always do. I have on the front of my business card this picture by Michelangelo, the
Right.
painting The Sistine Chapel, and look at the words. The words say, I saw the angel in the marble and I chiseled until I set it free. That's the secret. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
As we chip away everything unlike the essence that's already there, the trauma, the drama, the old stories, then does the physical, emotional, and creative rise to the occasion. It doesn't come out of a good advertising idea. It comes from releasing the darkness, honoring the darkness, accepting the darkness, giving it a different role to play. For example, when I'm often doing a presentation coaching session with a human, and in a group in particular, it's very easy in a group to do this, whether it's online or physically. One of the exercises is, who here has a wall or a feeling of a wall between you and your audience? The feeling like, I want to reach people, but I'm holding back my light, or I'm holding on to fear. I was told I was never good, whatever it is. And someone is always going to raise their hand. And I'll say, well, what does your wall look like? And they said, well, it feels like it's a fence and it's in front of me and I can't see anyone. I say, okay, good. Let's physicalize it. Let's get this out of your system by making it even bigger, not avoiding it, but making it, exaggerating it even more. So take a few people from the audience, have them stand in front of you so you can't see the audience, and now say these words after me. And I prompt them. I say, audience, people that I want to reach in this life, I want to reach you. I can barely see you because there's a wall in the way. I can't get through to you. And I say, okay, good. Feel that frustration. Feel that trauma. Feel that's been there for ages. What are you going to do about it? The person turns to me, what am I going to do about it? I said, yeah, you're the creator. You're the one that's in charge of the scene. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to turn the wall, and they do all kinds of things, into a bridge or into a flower, or it's going to back me up. It could be anything. And then it's a different physical experience. The person's often in tears at this point because they've shifted the ergonomic family constellation, shaping and shifting of all the different roles of people that they have been holding or things that have been oppressing them. And suddenly the person may say, oh, I'm backed by my supporters, if they're in back of them, or I'm connecting as a bridge to all the people. And they say, now talk to the audience. I see you. You see me. I love being seen. It's so good. I've turned my wall into a bridge. I wanted to piggyback on what you're saying, because that's a really good way of segueing to our next part of our conversation, Sam. Thank you for that.
Well, it's very interesting you mentioned about the sculpture. Think about what you
Yeah.
just said. I said, getting to the true self is not additive.
Mhm.
Sculpture is not additive. You chisel away. You don't add. You don't put more marble on the block of marble. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it is that. It is that simple. And that whole thing, Gary. I flash back. God, this is more than 40 years ago. Inward Bound. When I had a TV show in San Diego for 5.5 years called Inward Bound. Ran every Sunday night. I did 136 episodes in that series over about 5.5 years. In any event, one night while I was taping, I had a very transformative experience. TV is a very artificial, as you know, environment. You have lights and cameras, and in my case, crew people, 3 cameramen and a floor director and people up. Anyhow, it was a lot, and very hot lights in those days, not like it is now. Um, and I had a transformative experience at one moment. I literally, Gary, this is now referencing on what you just said about seeing. I literally, for a moment, a transformative moment, went through the big glass lens of the camera and I saw I'm getting emotional. I saw the audience
Oh.
on the other side.
Oh.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, because I thought, well, oh, that's kind of BS. You're on drugs or something, which I wasn't. I hadn't had any uh, alcohol or drugs or anything. And a few days later, I had a PO box, and we always at the end of the show said, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, this is before the days of texting and all this stuff and websites. Um, I went to my PO box down in the main post office in San Diego, the great big thing, and there was a letter from a guy, and he said he took a spiritual hit in that program and had to go into a closet in his apartment and sat on the floor for 3 days. I mean, he obviously came out to get food and go to the bathroom or whatever. But he said he closeted himself for 3 days to process the hit he took. And I went, "Ooh."
Wow.
And
We
see
never know
what
who we touched, right?
well, and what it made me realize is right now the audience sees images, they see my flesh and they hear my voice, but there is also a spiritual essence or an authenticity because TV and our cameras on our cell phones and computers pick up bandwidths that are not necessarily visible. This is visible and auditory, etc. Um, but what occurred to me is that when you're in a real spiritual state and you're transmitting, it's not just the image and the voice, it's the essence is also transmitting over this instrumentality. And that's what
Mm,
you guys are doing,
mm.
frankly.
So good to hear this. And as you speak, I
Mm.
often see images and prophetic pictures of different scenes that have happened in my life. And one of them, when I was living in Los Angeles in my 20s before moving to Hawaii and then meeting you in San Diego a few years later, I was part of the Renaissance Theater Company. And a man named Manu Tupo was actually, he's a Samoan, big guy, beautiful heart, deep caring and compassion, led this theater group that I was part of. And I remember I never had this experience before because my training was more in science, psychology, springboard diving. I never really studied theater. I kind of fell into it, or rose into it. And
Rose
there's something
into it. You didn't fall into it, Gary.
it was already in me. There we go again. It was already inside me before I noticed. And so in that time, in that moment, he had something called a private moment exercise. And the private moment is simply this: you, Sam, you, Gabriella, myself, whatever I call myself, are doing something that I need to be doing. Like I wrote down the name of someone here in this chat that's been trying to call me. I don't know who it is, and I don't know if I'll see the chat later. So I wrote down this guy's name. Okay. And so that was a private moment. You didn't see me doing that, but I knew I was doing that. And the private moment is very interesting because it allows the performer who is in between you, the audience, who's watching and listening and picking up what we're saying on different levels and dimensions of vibration, seen, felt, heard, experience, and all different levels and dimensions of existence. And not only are you aware of what I'm doing, a private moment, something I just need to be doing for myself, but I'm aware that I'm in the role of, I'm not acting, I'm enacting something I actually need to do. So I'm there with what's called in theater the fourth wall. The fourth wall is the consciousness that I'm being seen, I'm seeing myself, and to be able to see from, as you said, Sam, from behind the lens, from the audience's lens, within myself. And some of the best moments in acting, in performance, is in that consciousness when someone suddenly, as an actor, is laughing at themselves in a scene, or you a minute ago, you're getting tearful, where there's a moment of authenticity, sincerity, integrity, full feeling coming through that you can't plan on. They're still acting the lines, and yet there's the personality, the persona, the soul, and the consciousness of being seen and seeing are all happening simultaneously. I thought I'd add that layer to our conversation.
Well, I must say, this is for the benefit of our viewers and you guys too. I'm going to give you a little hack, HACK, a hack on how to tell when those silent moments come. I've experienced some in my life, and I won't go into the details of all of them, but there is a common thread, a commonality. When that silence comes, there is a crystalline silence to it. And it's almost like time stops. So, yes, there's a performance, there's a conversation, there's a ceremony, there's a ritual, there's whatever going on. But it's almost like time stops. And there is a crystalline listening point where it lands. And there is an authenticity in that moment, and time stops. Now, in the case of theater, and I've experienced it years ago, you literally, there's a phrase in theater, you are at one with the audience. And all disbelief is suspended. Yes, there's an audience, there's a structure, a tent or a building you're in or a theater, whatever, and there's the stage and there's the actors and the lights and there's all this stuff. But there is a crystalline moment when the audience is with the folks who are acting out or the person who's speaking or whatever. And that's the hack. Listen and be sensitive to the crystalline moment.
Beautiful piece of information. I have one piece to add to that, and then Gabriella, I think would be good if you to speak too, because you're very beautifully patient and you have so much to share. So what I wanted to share is this: that as you said what you said just now, Sam, I am reminded of a practice that I do every day, whether I'm in the waterfall. Right now, there's too much rain and the water is gushing too much to even get into the waterfall. It's, dangerously forceful. But when I'm in the water, the water could be the fluid of air. Like right now, I don't have to be limited to doing it in a particular theater area of acting in nature. So I'm going to share something with you that's part of my A-E-I-O-U 5-vowel practice. And it's like this. It's very interesting. I'm just going to do the first one for a moment. The first sound, which is a sound that also ignites a feeling of horizontal openness or freeing and opening the band around the chest and heart. I make the sound ah. Do that with me. Ah. And then feel how that opens this band around the chest and the heart. And I like to, in my way of connecting verbal, vocal, visual, then connect a phrase to it. Now, in my life, just like both of you in your lives and all of you watching, we are often drawn, as I have in many, many years. Right now, I'll be 75 this year, so I'm not looking outside for a lover. I have found through enormous breakdowns, breakthroughs, and then being alone in my state of aloneness on this beautiful land, a state of connection with my inner self. So when I make the ah sound, now I add this sentence to it. And I do it either consciously or out loud. And the words are, I am love, lover, and beloved. So instead of seeking it outside, I am my own audience of that I seek within. I own it. I claim it. I embody it. So this is another way of taking what you said, Sam, and instead of I am love or I am the lover I've been looking for, no, I'm all of it. That's from the Sufi wisdom path. I am love, the state of love, opening this band around the chest and heart. I am lover, that I've been seeking. And I am beloved, putting it all together as one, the art of life, the theater of enactment with ourselves as a central character. Add that piece. Gabriella, please speak. We've been taking over the conversation, Sam and I.
I was just thinking while I was listening to you guys that for me, those moments that you were talking about, Sam, kind of also come like when I'm in this like flow state that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talked about, is like if I'm in nature and just so in tune to being lost in nature, being walking among the trees or gardening or doing whatever, that you truly get lost in it. And then there's this just moment of feeling oneness with the plants, the trees, the earth, the sky, the sun, all that. And then the same I get with writing when I truly just write and then I get lost in it. And all of a sudden, 5 pages later, it's like, whoa, did I just throw it on that? Because you get so lost in it that it becomes, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's similar to that moment that what
Well,
you
no,
were talking about.
there is a verbalization. You're at one with the process.
Yeah,
You are at
yeah.
one with the writing. You are at one with experiencing nature. Nature is one of the most authentic things we can ever experience.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, I got to add something to this conversation. You saw, excuse my body there for a minute. Oh, Gabriella, you're so tuned in. So I have this particular piece of writing that I've saved. You can see it's gone through, quite a bit of wear
Oh,
and
wow.
tear. I keep it here in the room with me because it's called Lost. The name of this place is Lost. The name of this piece is Lost. And it's by someone named David Wagoner. And I'm going to say it while practicing breathing in. We can all practice it. So it's not just saying the outer production of words, but receiving with ourselves being our own best audience and critics, our own selves receiving this message. So here we go. It's exactly what you just shared. Gabriella brought up to a different level. Ready? Here we go. The name of the piece is called Lost. Stand still.
Stand still.
The trees ahead
the
and
trees ahead,
bushes behind you,
and bushes behind you.
they're not lost.
They are not lost.
Wherever you are
Wherever you are,
is called here,
it's called here.
and you must treat it
And you must treat it
as a perfect stranger.
as a perfect stranger.
Must ask permission to know it
Must ask permission to know it
and be known.
and be known.
The forest breathes.
The forest breathes.
The forest breathes.
The forest
Listen.
breathes.
Listen.
Listen.
It answers.
It answers.
It answers, I have made this place around you.
It answers, I have made this place around you.
If you leave it,
If you leave it,
you may come back again,
you may come back again.
saying here.
Saying here.
Yeah. No two trees are the same to raven.
No two trees are the same to raven.
No two branches are the same to wren.
No two branches are the same to wren.
If what a tree or a branch or a bush does is lost on you,
If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you,
you are surely lost.
you are surely lost.
Indeed.
Stand still.
Stand still.
The forest knows.
The forest knows
The forest knows where you are.
where you are.
You must let it
You must
find
let it
you.
find you. In the meantime, we had my cat join us.
That's great. And if your cat had a word or two, what would the cat say at a time like this?
I just want to be here. Join us. Whatever
Really?
The
you
cat
guys
is not
are doing.
lost.
No, they just truly want to be with you.
Cats are very energy sensitive.
Oh yeah, they are.
No, the cat knows.
And that's what that whole piece, that poem is about, is when we are not lost, when we are found. I actually read that piece for the first time, realizing for the first time what I never realized before, and I've read this hundreds of times. What I read this time that I didn't realize is that when you leave this place and you come back, you're calling this place here. I'm back here. And I never realized what I was saying before. Here is what's always been here, but I have to leave here to realize that here is where I was in the first place. Beingness is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Being here.
Yes. That's really interesting that you say that, because a few weeks ago, I did a writing exercise with an amazing metaphysician. Her name is Madame Muter, and I attend her writing instructions. And she dropped us in a forest, and she said, "You have to get out in a forest." Like, this was the exercise. So, however you're gonna get out in 2 weeks, you just there you are in the forest, and we all wrote different things and then shared. And the 3 people who shared, it seemed like the story continued, you know? So mine was the last piece, and then the other people, but by itself, it was different. And then you put it together. So she actually wanted us to send her the 3 stories so she can put it together and put it in a website. But the end of my story was like, I was in the forest. At least I thought I was. But in the end, I opened my eyes and I was home, just where I've been the whole time.
Oh
So
my
the end
goodness.
of, like, however you interpret, wherever you are. And it's just so
Mm,
interesting because of what you were saying about how you find that you were here. That was the end of my story too.
mm, mm,
That,
mm.
you thought you were lost in the forest, but you open your eyes and you're just like, where you
Yes,
been
yes.
the whole time?
Profound. It's
Yeah.
interesting. As you speak, I'm also reminded of something here, um, about being lost and always being at home. I love stories. I love plays within a play. I love being able to see the awakening of what is under the surface already home. There's often stories at
Yeah.
the end of the story, you realize the person had been reading the story the whole time, but the story was about them sitting reading the story about what was happening in the story, and there they were reading. What I'm reminded of is The Wizard of Oz. In The
Mm.
Wizard of Oz, the metaphor, the meteoric, metabolic, metaphoric, me too for of that story is that Dorothy dreams or thinks she's dreaming about going to this somewhere over the rainbow world, and yet she's at the end at home. And so it's interesting that the people or the characters she come across along the way, the scarecrow that actually has the greatest courage, or the greatest mind. It's not just a dimwit full of straw, but the
Yeah.
lion that has the courage, the tin man that has the heart. And in essence, what we're seeking in all these roles is what we're already at home with inside it, have disowned. This
Yes.
is so true. One of my favorite exercises is to have a person stand either with their hands. You can do this with your hands while you're watching me, or you can do it at home. It's an exercise where you are acknowledging that hero, that heroine, that mentor, that being. Could mean a cartoon character or your pet cat, could be anything that in some way represents to you qualities of authenticity, of magnanimity, whatever you hold most dear, that perhaps you've projected out of yourself. I wish I were more like my cat or my hero or that character or that cartoon character or that world leader or that performer. And so the exercise is, let's say I'm doing that right now with Gandhi. Many people pick Gandhi in this exercise. So I'm going to show you the exercise. Hello, Gandhi. What are you doing in this exercise with me? Well, you asked me to show up and be here with you. So notice already what I'm doing with the voice tone. Gandhi's voice is more measured, calmer, and
Hmm.
clearer, more paced. And here I'm excited and somewhat in disbelief, the one that hasn't fully owned these projected qualities. What I want to acknowledge in you, Gandhi, or whoever you're acknowledging, are these three qualities. You have courage, you have patience, and you have kindness. Could be anything. And then the exercise is that as Gandhi, speaking in that way that would show with the verbal words, the vocal sounds, and the visual delivery, the acknowledgement of those qualities. So watch this. Thank you for acknowledging me these qualities that you've disowned up to now, of patience, of kindness, and whatever the third one was. It could be forgiveness or heroism, it could be whatever. And I thank you so much. And I have to say, see what I'm doing with my hands and my gestures as though I'm in a person's body. You have these qualities too, and it's time you own them because you are at home with them already within yourself. Oh my goodness. Now this person, part of the exercise, says, thank you so much. I will remember from right now, from this exercise, to slow down, to speak in a more regular paced way, and to tap into the wisdom of my own kindness, my own patience, and all the other qualities. Thank you so much for joining me here at the end of the exercise. Now hug and embrace. Good. What are you going to remember? I'm going to remember this exercise where I learned to slow down by honoring that I've been holding outside of myself up to now. So this is a way for us all to feel at home within ourselves, to reclaim the disembodied or projected attributes that we didn't feel we have. We already have that at home. I saw the angel in the marble and I chiseled until I set it free.
Beautiful. What do you think about that, Sam?
Well, again, the chisel, or as I talk about, the peeling back the layers of the onion
Yeah.
to get to the core. It's all of what we're talking about. And this is the big thing, is the takeaway for your audience. It's not additive. Get it
Yeah.
out of your mind that it's something you have to go and put like a piece of clay on your forehead or your face or your body or your arm or your hand. No, no, no. It's a chiseling away. And when we say chiseling, for most, not all, for most, it can be an arduous and painful process. Doesn't have to be, but it can be. I
That's
mean,
true.
I'm reminded of the biblical story of Saul of Tarsus, who was on the road to Damascus, and God struck him down, and he was blinded for a while. And when the scales came off of his eyes, he was transformed. So, is it possible to have a Saul of Tarsus moment? Absolutely. It was not
Mm,
something exceptional to Saul. It is
mm,
possible for any of us. But remember, it was not additive for Saul to become Paul, the great
mm,
apostle.
uh,
He had a hatred of Christians, he killed them.
Mm.
mm.
It was not an additive thing, it was
Yes,
subtractive. He got
interesting.
he got dumbstruck, literally, like bolt of lightning,
Yes, yes.
figuratively speaking, on the road to Damascus. And he was
Mm,
temporarily blinded. And when
mm,
his eyes reopened, he saw a whole new reality, and
mm.
life was different. It was
Yes,
a transformative process. So for
yes,
some, it can be a lightning bolt. And I don't want to take that away, because anybody watching, you inherently can have a Saul of Tarsus moment. It's
yes, yes.
not
I want to
something.
add to that, there, Sam, because I have a way to share with all of us listening and watching here, past, present, and future, to be able to ignite a Saul of Tarsus moment consciously at any moment.
Well,
And this is
Gary,
what I
that's
use.
a whole presentation, and you should share it right now.
I'm
That's
going to
very
share it right
important.
now. I'm going to share it right now, and it's just taken me less than 5 minutes. Watch. So this is something that adds to the practice that I do every day, whether it's in the waterfall or right here. It doesn't matter anymore where it is. And here's what I'm about to show you, how you can do this instantly if you're out of sorts, and to come into a Saul of Tarsus moment within yourself of igniting that quality of connectivity, authenticity, and speaking, receiving information, and transmitting from your deepest core. And that is this. When I first practiced this exercise of ah, ye,
Uh,
I,
ooh,
oh, ooh, at first I was simply igniting, inaugurating, and authorizing these qualities of opening the heart, opening the speech center, rising to the light, connecting with the I am presence, I am that I art, or I art that I am, or I heart that I am, uh, to honor in the sound of O, the all circular processes of what we're a part. And then finally, the ooh, like a didgeridoo, to embody the deepest longings for all humanity. I was doing that at first that way for years. And then something hit me. I had a flash of realization one moment. And it was that, wait a minute, in the Course of Miracles, it is often said that there is love or everything unlike love. When or calling for love. There's love or a calling for love. In other words, love springs up and releases and frees everything unlike love that comes up for release. So I've changed my whole practice around. And in 5 sounds, you who are listening and watching, yep, you can do this too. Watch, listen, experience, and do this with me. So instead of just making the sound of ah, to open that feeling of I am love, lover, and beloved, I am the remedy, may the message of love and God and consciousness grow far and wide with that sound of opening. I now focus, as you're about to, when I make the outer sound, exhaling, releasing everything unlike itself, everything unlike being in the heart. Bless you. So we're going to release everything unlike being in our heart first with the sound of ah, and then we're going to breathe in and fill that band that we just let the air come out of to receive that fullness. So first we empty, then we receive in fullness into receptivity. So we'll do it together. Ready? Here we go. Ah, releasing everything unlike love. Ah, opening that band and exhaling. Now breathe in and fueling that band, filling that center. Then we enter that consciousness. But first we had to let go of everything unlike itself. Let's do it with the E sound. The motion goes up. The consciousness is connected with the words, I am the light, I am the rising, I am the yearning, I am the longing. All of these together in whatever makes sense to you, or I'd say for me to share my wisdom, my warmth, my wonder, my message, my voice, my inspiration with you. And it's the sound of E that goes up. But first we do it to release everything unlike being able to be in that state. Okay, here we go. E going up. Now breathing in, filling that band. Get it? You know what we're doing? Now then we release the third one, which is the I am presence that goes up and down at the same time. To the heights, to the depths, with the consciousness of I heart that I am that I am, I heart that I art, anything that makes sense to you, the I am presence. First, we release everything unlike being in that I am center. We do it together. We release it first, everything unlike itself, the sound of I. Ready, go, now. Breathe in now, filling it. And now O, which is a round sound that honors all circular processes of which all sentient beings are a part. But instead of first honoring it or becoming it, we release everything unlike being in that flow, in that trust, in that circularity, in that honoring of our circularity by the sound of O, letting it go. Here we go. Oh. Now filling it up. Filling it up. Good. Beautiful. And then finally the sound ooh going down through the base of the spine towards the center of the molten earth. A sound that connects first to letting go of everything unlike being in the foundation, firm, flexible, and flowing that we stand on. I trust what I stand on. Everything unlike embodying the depths of our highest visions and deepest longings for ourselves and evolving humanity, letting go of everything unlike itself. The sound of ooh. Here we go. And breathing it in.
Gary.
Wait. And then the final sound is ah, e, I, o, u together, letting go of it all and then receiving it all. Here we go. There we go. 5 sounds, releasing everything unlike itself and then receiving it all because we art it all. We are already home. Yes, Sam.
I have 2 dachshunds here, and when we got to that last part, they went nuts and jumped off the bed and jumped on me. They went nuts. They went and they started barking.
We are all connected.
Well, no, the animal kingdom is way more sensitive than we are.
Yeah, the cat is still here with me.
They were picking up on that
it's not a joke, guys. It's not a joke.
I know.
The last sound, was it the A-E-I-O-U sound?
It was the ooh. No, it was the ooh. Sent the dogs crazy. Sent the dog. I have dachshunds. They're hounds, and they went nuts.
Gotta love sound.
I love it.
Talk about a mirror.
Yeah, and a miracle, a miracle. We are reflecting each other through sights and sounds, and infinity abounds. You know, that's what happens when I do that practice. I just want to share this now. When I release everything unlike itself, breathing in, then breathing in, then breathing in, then breathing in, and then breathing in. I enter such a resourceful state that then, even as I was just speaking, words become playful prayers that I don't have to question about getting into a creative state, because it augments and ignites it in an empowering way. But first, the practice, letting go of everything unlike itself, everyone. And then in receiving that as a practice, total creativity is available for every one of us to tap and to be at home in our deepest authenticity. How is this making sense to any of you who are listening, watching, and to you, Sam, and to you, Gabriella? We're tapping into such deep wisdoms here, and so much fun. I love this.
Well, you know, the most creative space is nothingness.
Yes.
Say that again.
The most creative space is nothingness. When you have empty space, people freak out. Oh, it's empty. No,
No, I love
empty is
emptiness.
filled with possibility, guys. When you're
Yes.
empty, when there's empty space, everything is possible. It's a
Yes.
gift. It's
There's
a
this
gift.
beautiful story about a very familiar classical story about the Zen master and the student. And the student says, "How do I get enlightened?" And there's a cup in between them of like the Zen master is going to pour this hot tea from the cup, from the teapot, into his cup, and the guy's holding his cup. And so the Zen master is pouring the hot boiling tea into the cup, and then it burns the guy. You know, it's all over his body. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "That's like your mind. Your mind is already so full, you can't receive any information." This guy remembered this because his body was burned. But when I'm doing sessions with people, I often bring them to this state because there's a feeling of the fear of emptiness. And I say, no, let's change that around. Let's create a new story, a new self-talk that we can multi-sensorize. Instead of, I feel empty, I feel open and receptive. It's the same state,
Yeah.
but we're giving it a different name. And it's important what we name it to claim it. I feel open to receiving fully. Yes, thank you. Yet you first had to empty yourself to get to that state.
Yeah, I mean,
I love
it's the most creative state.
Mm-hmm.
Nothingness, what people would assume, presume is a vacuum and dead, is actually the most creative state. Because inside that vacuum, inside that nothingness, everything is possible.
Yes.
So beautiful. So true.
I love that. Is kind of the similar concept. Is like without darkness, there's no light, right? We need both of them, and we need the emptiness to be able to create. And
Well,
the
it's
same with like
interesting.
decluttering your life. Like if you have too many things, like actual things in your life to stuff, then there's nothing more fit into it. But if you let that go, the same as with things in your mind, the same as your space, when you let things go, the more things can come in.
Yeah, I'm hearing so many different layers and levels of what you're saying here, Gabriella. I've had a habit, to get a bit vulnerable here, transparent, in my life over many, many years of sometimes I lose things. I can't find things. I was a specialist when I was growing up. I couldn't find my glasses, my watch. You know, I can't have my whole family go searching, you know, for the things that I thought I lost. The reason I'm bringing this up is I saw after a while the pattern in all of these things. And it was very interesting to see this from a different layer, a different level. I began to see, wait a minute. What if there's a wisdom to how I'm have had a habit of losing things that I can't find? What is it doing with me energetically? And I noticed that when I would be in a state of looking for something that I thought I was missing, I would enter a state of grief, of despair, as though I was missing something. And I suddenly had a realization. This is years ago, but it applies to this conversation very much so. That when I realized that what I was doing unconsciously was creating a state of belief or story that I was missing something, or that I was missing out, or my primary core wound in this lifetime, I'm not enough. It helped me enter a state of emptiness, of feeling like I was missing out. And when I realized, wait a minute, what if I was creating this feeling of missing things, or thinking I'm missing things, to tap into this sense of despair and honoring the darkness and the grief that I wouldn't fully honor? It's changed my whole view about losing things. And now, at age 75 this year, coming up, I'm realizing also with my sexual energy that's shifted over many, many decades, rather than seeing intimacy, into me see, into you see, into we see, as a form of physical or sexual connection, I'm seeing now, in my wisdom of my saging and maging, it's this new staging and paging that's happened over many decades, that it's not just excitement or the honoring of joy or ecstatic states or bubbliness. It's honoring the grief, honoring the loss, honoring the darkness, the sadness, the despair, the resentment, anything as part of the light and the dark, the beautiful mystery, majesty, mythos of this life. Without the two together, there would be something missing. So now, at this stage, I realize that even in missing, in the Sufi tradition, there's this beautiful expression that love is not the highest state. Like the dog that howls, oh, the longing is often a higher state, the longing for belonging, than the actual attainment of that goal. So we honor the darkness with the light in a way we never could before.
Beautiful. And I think that's a beautiful ending to our session today.
A beautiful beginning to the next page, the next phase. And Sam, it's always so enriching to have
Thank you
you
so
join
much for
us.
joining.
I
Thank you,
love it.
guys.
You know, we're back again next week to the same time, one day later. For all those who joined on this day today, we're back to whatever time that is in your part of the world. And we appreciate you engaging with us in this Substack chat. Does it also go to your Substack followers, this chat? I think it could be if you wanted it to, Sam.
Yes,
Yes.
it automatically feeds in there.
Automatically.
Yes.
Beautiful. So we're reaching more people. We're helping everyone who's watching share our voice, our message, and our wisdom with the world and ourselves as we dream possible. Such a beautiful place to begin
Yes.
anew.
And for those of you who joined later, you can watch these in any of our Substacks later, as well as on our YouTube channels. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
To be continued.